What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid, and there is some interesting news floating around right now, which I think a lot of you guys are going to probably enjoy. Some of you might not, a lot of you probably will. But one of the things that I want to just quickly touch on before I actually jump into this news is it's kind of a rumor, by which I mean it's totally a rumor, guys. Like, it's totally a rumor. Some of you have probably seen this information floating around already, but let me just preface this with it is a rumor, okay? So you've already seen the title, and that is that there is a Final Fantasy IX remake coming. Now, obviously, we're no strangers to a 9 remake rumor, because not that long ago there was the GeForce leak, which had Final Fantasy IX listed, well, the Final Fantasy IX remake listed in one of their supported games and whatnot for NVIDIA graphics cards. But there are a few other things happening now, which is actually starting to give that some credibility. So what I'm gonna quickly do now is I'm just gonna run you guys through all the different things that are happening, all the different bits of news, and then you guys are free to make your own judgment on whether you think it's true, whether you whether you don't think it's true. Maybe you just hope it's true. You know, like you can be on any side of the fence you want. So let's actually just jump straight into all these different little things, shall we? So, first of all, I've already mentioned the GeForce leak for a few months ago, where Final Fantasy IX Remake was listed in that as like a title in development for support for NVIDIA graphics cards for PCs and whatnot. Now, we've already seen that a lot of the games on that list were actually true and confirmed. So that leak, even though obviously not everything is true and confirmed, that leak does have a lot of credibility with it to go along with everything else we're going to talk about right now. But again, that's not the only thing. So what else is there? Well, one of the big things I don't think a lot of people are really realizing is Final Fantasy IX is being pushed around a lot lately by Square Enix. And I don't just mean in terms of, you know, like they're bringing the ports to different platforms or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot of Final Fantasy IX related stuff going on. So, for example, there was obviously that GeForce leak. There's the Final Fantasy IX anime/cartoon. I'm not getting into the debate with that again, guys, seriously. The debate on the last video for that was mind-numbing. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, so there's the Final Fantasy IX anime and cartoon, which is obviously bringing a lot of hype back to the series. Fans are really looking forward to it. You'll have new people who might even join the game once they see the anime and things like that. But then that's also going to generate a lot of hype for a remake as well. So even though a remake isn't confirmed, the anime and cartoon would work as very, very good advertising, especially because, you know, there's no release date or anything like that. So it could work as, you know, maybe the announcement at the end of the anime, maybe at the start of the anime, and the anime could be like a celebration for the announcement. There's a lot of things that this could tie into, only obviously this is still 100% theory, rumor, you know, nothing confirmed, okay? Nothing confirmed. But it is also a very practical thing that a lot of companies have done before. Like, let's keep that in mind. A lot of companies have used other forms of media to generate publicity to then announce a remake, remaster, or a new game. So this isn't anything new. What is new, however, is over on the PlayStation blog, so the official PlayStation blog from PlayStation's website. Good old Kazuhiko Aoki, if you don't know who he is a producer and events designer over at Square Enix. He's actually done an interview with PlayStation because Final Fantasy IX has now been brought over to PlayStation Now. If you don't know, PlayStation Now is it's Sony's version of game streaming. Works for some people. If you're like me, doesn't work at all unless you can download the game. But yeah, so Final Fantasy IX is now on there, and to celebrate that, he's essentially done an interview. I'm not going to go into detail on everything he said in the interview because it's kind of big, but if you want to search it, it's called Memories of Life Working on Final Fantasy IX, or I'll just have a link down below in in the description, basically. But what's really adding fire now to the Final Fantasy IX Remake rumor is something he actually said at the very end of this interview. And I'm just going to quickly read this very last sentence out now. If you're playing Final Fantasy IX for the first time on PlayStation now and find it fun, then I'd be delighted if you join us and continue to create Final Fantasy IX into the future. Now, this can be taken a lot of ways. Firstly, let me just say, the interview was not in English. This could be a translation error. It could very easily be a translation error. It could be something that was lost in translation. It could be flat out absolutely not even close to what he said, basically. I haven't gone and looked at the Japanese translation. I need to find somebody who can read Japanese to maybe read that last little bit, so I can find out exactly what he says, because it's very possible that this is just a mistake in the translation, basically. But it does also really open the door up, especially with the continue to create Final Fantasy IX into the future. Because at this point, if we look at what Final Fantasy IX has, and what the future could entail for Final Fantasy IX, currently there's not a whole lot. So in terms of consoles the game is on, it's already basically been ported to everything now, the remaster has. So it's on PlayStation, PC, Xbox, Switch, it's on basically everything at this point. There's the anime, which is in production. So realistically, when they talk about creating Final Fantasy IX into the future, which is like bringing the game into the future, what else can they really do at this point that they haven't already? They can't do another remaster because it's already on all platforms, and by that I mean the original game remastered, you know, like they did previously. I don't mean like the 7 remake / remaster, you know what I mean? But yeah, so they can't really do that. They've done the anime, well, they're doing the anime, so they can't really move on to that front either. So what does this really leave open for them? Well, obviously there's the remake, there's sequel, prequel, spin-off, you know, like all of these could be very valid answers. So there's not necessarily going to be a 9 remake, but I do think now that they're really starting to set all the groundwork together. Like, they're setting all the foundations for a return to the world at least. So whether that's, you know, as I said, a sequel set after the events of 9, a prequel, maybe the original War on Terror, who knows? Or even just a direct remake. Because I feel like now they are going to a lot of effort to not only keep 9 in the news, but to keep bringing it back bigger and better than before in the news. Because when you look at it, look at like the last 10 years of Final Fantasy IX, right? Just look at the last 10 years. There wasn't really a lot, even with the 9 remaster. They didn't even really announce that. They just sort of basically brought it out as a case of, oh, here you go, here's 9 remastered. Like, they didn't really announce anything, but now all of a sudden, they're announcing everything to do with 9. They're announcing it's on PlayStation Now, which I don't really think anybody cares about, personally. PlayStation Now is a terrible service, if you ask me. But yeah, so they're announcing it on PlayStation Now. They're talking about the anime. They're talking about the directors now they felt when they were making the game. It just seems a little weird that they're bringing all this 9 information out, especially so close together, because it's happening all the time now, especially with relation to anime news and now news on the game as well. So that's kind of one of the things where I think now is a case of maybe don't get hyped, because again, it is still a rumor, but I wanna say, like, I'm definitely in the boat now where maybe there's actually some weight behind this. You know, we've seen a good few leaks now that point in that direction, and obviously the anime would give it a tremendous, and I do mean absolutely tremendous, advertisement, especially because of how popular the game was back in the day. You know, there's going to be a lot of people watching it. A lot of the people who played Final Fantasy IX as kids are pretty much adults now, so they could even get their kids involved in it, you know what I mean? So it could work out really in their favor, and that's why I think, even though it's not confirmed, I do think there might be some weight behind this. But it's one of those things where we're gonna have to wait and see. The Final Fantasy IX 20th year anniversary has already gone, but in 4 years, no, it came out in 1999, so in 3 years, it's going to be the 25th anniversary. And how long do games typically spend in production, guys? It's typically 3 to 4 years. So if this is something they've started recently, we could perhaps see this for the 25th anniversary for Final Fantasy IX. At least that's going to be my estimate on if a remake is actually happening. It's probably going to be around then anyway. But we'll just have to wait and see. I am curious though, what do you guys think? Like, I'll obviously have the article linked down below and all that. You guys are, of course, free to do your own research. In fact, I encourage you to do your own research. There's no point just jumping on a conclusion that I've come to alone. Let's have a discussion down in the comments, for sure. There might be something I've missed, and we can talk about that, you know what I mean? But I am going to be ending this video here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you're a little excited, like me, you know? It could end up being good if it turns out to be true. But yeah, just make sure you hit that like button if you did enjoy, and leave a comment down below. I'm happy to talk about all of these theories with you guys. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. As always though, everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.